Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to hear a story titled, I Don't Know What to Do. And a shout out to Bill for sending in this story. And guys, this story is about a guy, he's 29 years old, been married for, I believe, 4 years, and recently discovered that not only is his wife cheating on him presently, but also she's a serial cheater. He finds out this while he was playing Pokemon Go or some darn thing, which at 29 years old, really, dude. But anyhow, and now his whole life is turned upside down because he's known her and been with her since college for like 9 years, big percentage of his life. And as you can imagine, the whole Reddit comment section is saying, get out of there, bro. And this guy's really devastated and at loss and everything like that. Now this guy, he's made his mistakes. Let me tell you along the ways, you're going to see it along there. But this is a classic example, guys, of once a cheater, always a cheater. And yes, she's been a cheater for a long time. You do not take them back. You do not stay married to them. And you don't marry women like this when you find that that's who they are, because they will do it again. And that's a perfect example. But it's also an example, guy, how you need to have the right people in your circle to give you good advice and counsel. And finally, this is why it's so important that young men, all men, need to have or develop a healthy self-esteem and self-worth, because guys like that won't stay with people like this or question the big picture. So it starts off, says here, I'm 29 years old and just found out that my wife, a 29-year-old female, has not only cheated on me, but is a serial cheater. Poor guy, nobody deserves this. There's quite a lot to this, and I apologize if this is long-winded, but I think everything here, together here, will plant the full picture. My wife and I met in college in 2016 and had a real whirlwind relationship. Well, that ought to tell you something. She was a year ahead of me, so she graduated and moved a state away for work while I was still in my final year. I popped the question during a getaway trip before I graduated, and we were engaged. Smack! What does that say? It says he was desperate to hold on to any girl in his life, even though whirlwind romance. I couldn't have been happier already having my life partner before I even graduated. Smack! Partner. And any guy that says that tells you something here. What was he doing? The long-distance relationship. You think she was true and blue to him while they were apart? I think not. Well, fast forward to 2021. At this point, we were still engaged, but we had a wedding date, and we're already living together in the state that we moved to for her job. Things were going great. Then, the first time she cheated happened. I actually only found out about this because the guy she cheated with happened to be a close friend with my sister. So my sister actually broke the news to me. She was incredibly distraught and apologetic when I confronted her, and I rightfully questioned whether we should get married. You're darn right you should have questioned if you should get married. And of course she's putting on the waterworks and distraught. She's not distraught. It's a big act. She just doesn't want to lose a guaranteed wedding and a ring so she can put on Instagram and all that. And by the way, his sister should have been saying, get rid of her. Well, she explained to me that she was way too drunk and didn't even piece it together that it happened until much later. What a load of crap. They always blame the alcohol. Hobag Handbook, Chapter 7. I ran upset with her regardless, and then it turned into me being blamed because I wasn't giving her enough attention. And he says, yeah, I know. See? It's bad enough she cheated, then she blamed alcohol, cliche thing, and then she blames him. This is not someone you spend the rest of your life with, or even spend 5 minutes with, 1 minute with. Well, we agreed to work on it together, and off we went down the aisle. Smack, smack, smack. At this point, you can't feel bad for him. It was right there in front of him. I'm hoping his sister would have maybe smacked him upside the head. This is what happens when a guy builds a massive attachment to some girl he's been with a long time. This is what happens when a guy doesn't have information like this and people in his corner. And I know some of you guys are feeling inclined to leave now. Stick around. There's things to learn. Well, fast forward to September 2023. We've been married for 2 years now, and we moved back to our hometown for a job opportunity that I had. It also gave us a chance to purchase our very first home. Well, ordinarily, with the right wife, I'd say good for you for buying your first home and buying it young. The problem is he's buying it with a gal who has a history of cheating. And now, well, you'll see. We were absolutely ecstatic. Even though these positive things were happening, I started to feel uneasy because our previously very healthy sex life had diminished to next to nothing. There's a classic sign. Hooking up all the time or regularly and all of a sudden next to nothing. She ain't getting it from you, she's getting it someplace else. And that someplace else is called Chatter Tyrone. I began questioning her why we weren't being intimate anymore, and we both realized that we honestly were just unhappy. We loved each other, but we felt more like roommates. So we decided to do trial separation to see if we still longed for each other like we used to. You longed for her, dude? Is this a fucking romantic comedy? Bro, this is not working. These are all signs. All these things from the universe, God, somebody. This is not working out. This is where you are all going to think I'm an idiot. Too late, amigo. We already think you're an idiot for marrying her. But yes, we are going to think you're an idiot. Now listen to this. Holy crap. Well, I stayed in her home, and she went to stay in the extra room that one of our guy friends had. Smack! Your wife, while separated, is going to go stay in the spare room of one of your so-called guy friends? Yeah. This guy was a friend of both of us. All three of us spent nearly every day together once we got settled back in our hometown. He had just lost a close family member, and we sort of took him in as our permanent third wheel to help him cope. Oh, I'm sure she's going to help him cope all right. We were a tight-knit crew, so I trusted that as a reasonable place for her to stay and spend time with while we were separated. Whose idea was that? There's a question. Well, about 3 months go by, and we both decided that we wanted to fix our marriage. We missed each other every day that we were apart, and it was actually difficult for us to be texting each other. It honestly felt like when we were dating in college. I even re-asked her to be my girlfriend. Smack! That is the dumbest thing possible. And might add, this whole thing is stupid. So we started couples therapy and got to the point where we wanted to be together again. Then I got a job offer that took us across the country. Man, this is a lot of moving around. So now you sold the house, and you probably didn't make much off that given all the upfront costs and all that, but okay. Now we're at March of this year. Okay, 2025. We've been living in our new home for a little less than a year at this point. She then says that a couple of her friends from our hometown invited her to come out for St. Patrick's Day. She goes, we talk consistently on the phone where she's there, all is well. Then I receive a text from my guy friend that we used to hang out with. Oh, what could this text be? He starts going on about how she came out there to see him for his birthday, and she's spending money with him, and that they've been out on dates. Oh, do tell. And, guy friend, is this the guy friend from before, or a new guy friend? So I immediately call her. She tells me that he is crazy, and has been acting crazy ever since we moved out of his extra room, and that he's lying, and just showed up where she and her friends were. Uh-huh. Okay, it is that same guy. She even told me that he put his hands on her at one point. I felt so sick to my stomach, but I chose to believe her. Smack! You're believing a repeat cheater and liar and all that? But this guy's so attached to her, he's been with her so long, he wants to believe it's going to work. Now on to Thanksgiving. Okay, here we are fast forwarding to just last week. We were having a quiet Thanksgiving together at home. It's just us out here as all our family are across the country. I've recently gotten back into Pokémon Go and needed to do some trading. Dude, really? So, I asked her if I can use her iPad to do this. She tells me the passcode and off I go. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I went through her photos. What possessed you to do it, man, is you knew deep down that something's wrong here. I'm guessing you're probably not hooking up much. The St. Patrick's Day, the fact that she cheated on you and you still married her, amongst many other things. Yeah, your gut's saying, I'm going to check here. Well, there was nothing concerning at first, and then bam, nude photos and explicit videos. I was in complete shock. I'm not. I tried to hide my expression in front of her as I scrolled and scrolled through what I felt was like 100 of these intermixed with screenshotted texts and voice messages from our mutual guy friend that painted a clear picture that he was the one receiving these. Imagine that. The guy she spent 3 months with out of the kindness of his heart to help him cope with the loss of a family member. Yeah, it sounds like he was really suffering. and she was there to be his angel sent from heaven to fuck him. I confronted her, and she immediately started lying that they weren't being sent to anybody, and she just kept them for herself. Yeah, sure, sweetheart. I call her out because I had already seen the other evidence, and so she starts profusely apologizing and asking if I want to leave her. No, bitch, you're leaving. Take your stuff and get the F out of here. I didn't know what to do. Smack. Yes, you do. This woman that I love and am building a life with has had this incredibly long cross-country affair with someone I previously thought was a crazy person. I tell her to stay that I need to go think about this. So we go on with our day, not really speaking to each other. Dude, I would either be out of there or she'd be out of there. How are you going to think with her in the house apologizing and putting on the big waterworks and show? Well, here we are today. She leaves to go to her office for work, and I'm here alone with this damn iPad again. It feels like I'm violating her privacy, but I need to get the whole story, so I go back to the photos. Smack! Violating her privacy? How about she's been violating your marriage, and probably violating your entire relationship before you got married, which obviously she was doing. I scroll back further to the dates where we were still in our hometown, and sure enough, more explicit photos and videos. I scroll back even further to when we were living in another state for her job, more explicit photos and videos. You see, guys, once a cheater, always a cheater. I scroll back to before we got married, more of them, none of which were anything that were ever sent to me. Not only that, I found photos of her with one of her co-workers. I haven't confronted her yet about what I discovered today, and I don't know if I will. I truly don't know what to do. I know I want to talk to a therapist about this too, but I don't know what to do in the interim. My whole marriage is a lie, and I feel like an absolute idiot. Bro, you don't need to be talking to a therapist. You need to be talking to a lawyer. And what do? You know deep down what you got to do. The problem is that obviously you think this is the only girl you could ever have. You built up such an attachment to her. You've been with her like 9 years or something like that. I mean, that's a massive percentage of his life. And so many people, their whole identity becomes part of somebody else because they spend so much time with them. And the problem is that you're vastly more in the relationship than she is. She probably married you because she wanted a ring on her finger, the big ceremony and all that. And she's having her cake and eat it too. She has you to play the role of the husband and look good for public things, and meanwhile repeatedly has fun on the side. Once a cheater, always a cheater. It would have been a blessing. You should have considered a blessing that you found out that she cheated on you from your sister before you got married. But you married her anyway. That was crazy. But you were very young and didn't know any better. So you have repeatedly screwed up, but what's done is done. Now at this point you can either keep doing what you're doing, which is insane, and insanity, that's what insanity is, or you can do something about it and get this harpy out of your life. Go see a lawyer. Find out your options. You need to first make up your mind that it's over and accept that it's over. If you got to talk to somebody that has your back, that has common sense. Anybody telling you that you need to make it work or fight for the marriage is not your friend and not in your corner, okay? Then go talk to a lawyer or lawyers. Find out what your options are, given that you've been married to her for 4 years or something like that. And at that point, then, listen to I get a female attorney. And if money's tight, find money to make it happen. And then what I would do, honestly, is go through your house and try to act as calm and cool as can be. Get all important documentation you're going to need in case she kicks you out of the house or locks you out. Birth certificate, social security card, marriage license, keep that tax returns. You want copies of those. That's important there. Separate any money in joint accounts. Make sure if she's on any credit cards, get her off your credit cards. Have all sorts of plans in place. And obviously a place to stay. And then strike and get out of there. Does this guy have the strength to do it? Certainly doesn't sound like it, but I've been wrong before. People have been pushed too far. But if you stay married to her, this is going to keep happening. And very little people probably feel bad for this guy at all. But nobody's going to feel bad for you. And you're 29. You got your whole life ahead of you, man. Your prime's just beginning. Her prime's ending. And do not fall for her waterworks and apologies and promises. She's not going to change. And you can also get therapy at that point, but your first trip should be to the lawyer's office, okay? And get out of there, block her, start her with your life, join a gym, hang out with friends, whatever you got to do. And if you feel so lonely, like you're all alone where you are, well, no, you're not alone online. People here have your back. People will have your back online in these communities so long as you act like a man and not act like a dumbass. But if you act like a dumbass, they're not going to have your back. So that's what I think. Now, the comment section, because the whole comment section has plenty to say here. One guy says here, she's a liar and you can't expect the truth from a liar. She'll continue to deny and cop out under the guise of being drunk, she doesn't remember, or some other BS. It's a shame that people can't even go to a couple of years with one another without cheating. The mistake was forgiving her all those other times. I'm honestly surprised that you thought it was fine for her, a cheater, to live with a man after she cheated on you. I know. He believed that guy was his friend, please. Of course they were going behind your back. She did it because she was getting away with it. You have to make some tough decisions here, but I think this relationship is over. You think? Really? She couldn't even be faithful before you married, and that's just sad. Needing a trial separation after being married a short time tells you all you need to know. Another guy says here, I wouldn't even confront her at this point. This is glaringly obvious. What exactly would a discussion about this add or subtract from the evidence? Yeah, there's nothing to talk about here. The only thing you'll get from taking or confronting her is that dizzy feeling most of us had, with way less proof after talking to or so. It's like sticking your head in a blender. Lawyer up, get your ducks in a row, make sure you have everything in order, that the evidence is saved, and then finish this like a boss. Well, again, I've seen guys like this sometimes amazingly turn things around and act like a boss. But right now, this guy's more like Boss Hog, who's a fucking moron. And last one that says, your people who repeatedly seek this kind of external validation rarely really change. They may suppress it for a while, but when stress, pent-up want, and opportunity meet up again, it will happen again. If you stay, you'll be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your marriage. No kids. You need a lawyer and figure out your options. Amen. Yeah, thank God there's no kids in the picture, because then he's dealing with her forever, you know? But if he's only been married 4 years, I don't know what their income is and all that, and who earns more and everything like that, but it shouldn't be too bad. I'm not sure if they own this house they're living in. I hope they don't. I hope they sold the old one. That can be free and clear. But otherwise, there can't be a whole lot of equity, and who knows how the whole thing's going to go. But at the end of the day, it's best he gets as far away from her as possible. Does he have the strength to do it? I think not, but I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. So there you go, guys. Pokemon Go. Let him finally see what's going on here. Point is, gentlemen, if your relationship, guys, you find out your girl's cheating, end it. And consider it a blessing, truly a blessing, if you find this out before you get married. He had the shot to get out of there. It could have been one of those stories, I dumped her right before we got married, and we had a whole different story, and we'd be cheering him on and all that. Unfortunately, that's not how it went. And usually that's not how it goes. So I wish him the best. Alright guys, as ever today, be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.